What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be explaining and talking about rep ranges. What rep ranges should you be doing in the gym if you want to maximize your goals for strength, hypertrophy, and what is the best rep range overall? I'm going to be talking about it in this video and letting you know exactly what I think. So let's start this off. 1 rep max. Are they of any benefit? Well, yes, they are. 1 rep maxing is fantastic for strength. It's probably the easiest way to get stronger really quick. Lifting heavy weights is, how you get stronger. So if you want to increase your bench press, doing 1 rep maxes is probably a really good option to help increase that strength on the bench press. Exposure to those heavy loads are going to increase your strength the most. Now, that's not, they don't come without its caveats though, because 1 rep max is also very, very easy to get injured. Oftentimes, a lot of people are ego lifting and stuff like that, so the injury risk is through the roof. And it's also not the greatest for hypertrophy, and that's because we know time under tension matters for hypertrophy, and really, when you're only doing 1 rep, you're really not getting a lot of time under tension, so I really doubt you're maximizing hypertrophy, and the injury risk is really, really high, so I definitely wouldn't recommend doing 1 rep maxes all the time. And I also think that 1 rep maxes are really suited for big compound lifts, the squat, bench, and deadlift. I don't think it's really practical at all to even be testing your 1 rep max on a dumbbell curl or a lat pull down. You just don't really do that. So while I do think it can be great for strength, especially on the 3 compound lifts, I wouldn't recommend you do this all the time because it's very high risk of injury. So wouldn't recommend you do this all the time. Okay, next rep range, we got 2 to 4 reps. Now, this rep range has similar perks to the 1 rep max. But in my opinion, I think it's actually a little bit superior because I still think this is 2 to 4 reps is still a really, really heavy load to be working with. So you're absolutely going to be able to build some solid strength on your compound lifts, but it's going to be quite a bit safer. Doing a set of 4 is a lot safer than a set of 1. So I think that you can gain almost just as much strength doing this, and it's quite a bit safer, and you're getting a little bit more time under tension if you're going to that 4. If you're doing 2, it's still not really great. I mean, even with 4, I still don't think this rep range is maximizing hypertrophy, but I do think this is a solid rep range if you're prioritizing strength and you still care about muscle growth and stuff like that. And I think this is better than the 1 rep max just because of so much safer. So I think if you're a power lifter, I think this is a great rep range to work with. So I think this is really good for strength. Now we got 5 to 10 reps. Now we're starting to get into some more time under tension. So this is where I would say this is a pretty good zone for time under tension. I think above 5 reps, I do believe, anything 5 and above or whatever, you're probably getting enough time under tension to maximize muscle growth. Now, 5 to 10 reps, it's still quite a heavy weight, but the injury risk is much lower. And usually when people are doing sets like this, they're not ego lifting as much. Usually when they're in the 1 rep max and the 2 to 4 rep range, a lot of people are ego lifting, so that also increases the injury risk. But generally speaking, I think 5 to 10 reps, you still get people ego lifting all the time. They do it in every rep range, but I think this is a lot more manageable, a lot less likely to get injured, and it's still a pretty heavy weight. Let's say you're doing 6 reps. that's a heavy weight, so you're going to be getting a lot stronger, but I think you're also going to be getting enough time under tension to maximize muscle growth. So if you really want the best of both worlds, strength and hypertrophy, I do believe the 5 to 10 rep range is probably the rep range for you. Next up, we got 11 to 15 reps. This, in my opinion, if you're a bodybuilder or anything like, you just care about, you want really big muscles and stuff like that, I think this should be your sweet spot. For me personally, most of my sets are in the 11 to 15 rep range, especially on like isolation exercises and stuff. On the compounds, I'll lean in more towards that 5 to 10 rep range, but for most isolation work, like bicep curls, leg extensions, hamstring curls, this is the rep range I like to stick to because it's a high enough rep range where the risk of injury is quite low, and we're also getting a really good time under tension, so we're definitely maximizing time under tension to get that muscle growth stimulus. Now, it's probably not quite as good for gaining strength because the weight is a little bit lighter, but still pretty good. So I think 11 to 15 reps, if you're a bodybuilder, is really, really solid. Next up, we got 16 to 25 reps. I think this is still a valuable rep range. Now, again, we're probably not maximizing strength. We're definitely not maximizing strength here because we are using quite a very light load. And also, psychologically, to push yourself to failure for 16 to 25 reps is really, really hard. Like, you have to be very, very motivated in the gym to be able to push past the lactic acid and the burn to push yourself to failure to maximize hypertrophy in that rep range. I think this rep range is maybe better for like smaller muscle groups. So I would say maybe calves or like side laterals, I think this could work with, but like I wouldn't like do like 25 reps on a compound lift. So while I still think you can maximize hypertrophy from this rep range if you are training hard enough and stuff like that, I don't think that, one, you're definitely not maximizing strength and you really got to push yourself. So it's still a decent rep range, but a little too light for my liking. Okay, now we got 26 to 50 reps, and honestly, at this point, this is not really an ideal rep range. The weight is really just too light, and you're probably not going to be able to push yourself close enough to failure. You'll probably give out before you actually reach failure. Again, maybe you can do this on side laterals, but even then, you probably won't actually reach true muscular failure and you'll give out beforehand. So you're probably not maximizing hypertrophy with this rep range, even if you're pushing all the way. And you're definitely not maximizing strength because the weight is simply just too light. I think this is a great rep range if you're just trying to get warmed up, pumped up or whatever. But for the most part, this is too much. I will say, however, if you are injured and, like when I had a shoulder injury when I was recovering for that, this is the rep range I would use, and I would use really light weights, and I would, just try and get a pump in the gym and stuff like that. So if you are injured, I do think 26 to 50 reps is a very good option because the weight's light enough that you're not gonna, get injured and stuff like that, and you can still get a decent pump in the gym. So I think that's pretty good then. And now we got 50 plus. Honestly, this rep range, it's way too light. You're not maximizing hypertrophy because you're not getting close to failure, and you're not really gaining that much strength because the weight is simply too light. What is 50 plus reps good for? Cardio. When you pedaling on the bike, you're doing that for 50 plus times, each stroke, when you do this high reps, your cardiovascular system is probably going to give out before your actual muscles are. So really save this rep range for the treadmill and get your steps in and stuff like that. But that's pretty much the video, guys. Let me know in the comments, what rep range do you mostly train in? Personally, for me, I'm probably in that 6 to 15 zone. I think that right there is a really good rep range for, you know, reducing injury risk, gaining good strength, and also maximizing hypertrophy and stuff like that. So that is my personal sweet spot for where I like to train. Now, again, if you're kind of more into powerlifting and stuff like that, you may want to go a little bit lower and stuff like that. But personally, for me, I found this works the best, and I really like it. But that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know in the comments again what rep range you guys prefer, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.